headed to get my run in, but I wanted to get this out as well because I feel like it'll help someone else. And it's something I've noticed over the past maybe year, I guess, of being single out here in this world that we call 2022, 2021-ish, 2022, I guess would be the time frame. But this is how I've just observed how to whittle down someone that may be wasting your time or has this mentality of, I guess, this whole red pill manosphere, whatever the speaking points are that are being regurgitated out here in the social media world, that I've run across. And it's crazy because I'm not on social media like that. I have Facebook and I have a Twitter that I just started last year and don't have but maybe 7 followers. But I kind of feel like I have to be abreast on the things that are circulating out here in the world socially, because it bleeds over into real life, honestly. So if you just completely stay oblivious to the things going on in the social media space, you're obviously going to be behind in the real world too. So even though I don't have it, my friends keep me abreast. I always run across stuff on my Facebook that, of course, is from other platforms that are being popularized. And this is how I've been able to kind of weed out people who are basically operating in that sense of the red pill space, but trying to act like they're not. So I would go from this first thing, and it's after maybe talking on the phone to them and maybe meeting up initially, like they may be all the way into you, all the way interested, enamored, whatever, in the first encounter or two, or first conversations or two with you. And you guys decide to meet up. So you'll go out, and depending on whether or not they end up being able to kiss on you or feel up on you or whatever the case may be in that first encounter, they start kind of looking at you a little sideways if you don't put out like that. You know what I mean? Not even to say have sex, but because that's part of it too. But they act a certain way. So that's one observation. So the next encounter that you guys have, or the next date, they may feel like, okay, maybe not this time, but the next time I'll be able to do a little something extra. So the next date may come around. You may go somewhere really nice, whatever the case may be, and they'll pay, or they'll, do the normal chivalrous type things. But they'll also be, of course, throwing out the innuendo sexually, or they'll be, trying to, rub up on you a little, or just do whatever the case may be throughout the date. Whether it's dinner, whether it's, some type of a engaging encounter, like maybe bowling, or you guys are at a some type of interactive spot, so to speak. So they'll do that. If you obviously do not do any kissing or any sex in that second encounter, I can guarantee you that third, or maybe even by the fourth encounter, if you keep that up, they're gonna start downgrading where they want to meet you. Like they'll say, okay, let's go to a coffee shop, or oh, let's go to a ice cream shop, or oh, let's meet at the bookstore, or oh, let's, they'll start. And then that lets me know, so they equate high-end or nice outings with expecting you to give sex. Mind you, they're not asking you for it outright, but they'll, in their mind, this is what they're probably expecting, because maybe that's the women that they've been around that offer that after they go somewhere nice. And I just observe it. It's happened maybe 2 or 3 times with different guys that I've talked to, which is probably why I don't really get very far in the dating world, because I'm just not the one to put out to people upon just meeting them and trying to get to know them and seeing what where their head is or what they're about. And it's just funny. So when I run across it more than a couple times, I'm like, okay, there's something to this, because obviously there's talking points out here where some people in this community are saying, you know, if you're taking someone out to somewhere nice or expensive, then they're supposed to be putting out, they're supposed to be having sex with you. And if they're not, then they're just trying to use you for dinner. That they're not taking into account that getting to know someone doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take them somewhere expensive first. So if that's not something you're trying to maintain, you shouldn't start it. That's how I see it. And then secondly, you don't know this person. So why would that be an expectation upon first meeting them, that they're supposed to be having sex with you? I think it would be easier if people would just go get a prostitute or state that up front so someone can decide whether or not they want to waste your time or not. That way you don't feel like you're wasting money on not getting an expectation out of whatever you just put out. I just don't think it makes sense. But I always thought that was funny that people do stuff like that. But that's definitely one of my signs that I see out here just dating, about people who are trying to operate as if they're gentlemen, but they're not quite gentlemen. And maybe they've just been scorned too many times in the dating world by women that do that. But they're not taking into account that that's not, like, women are not a monolith. We don't all operate the same way. And there are some of us that actually don't need you to do that, but it's kind of just the rule of thumb that people just want to take you places and do things with you if they're interested in you, which is fine. But I always say, get to know someone. Like, it's okay to just have phone conversation. It's okay to just, you know, FaceTime, even if you're just wanting to get to know someone and feel like you're not wasting your resources on them. I would say do that first. That way you get an idea of where their head is or what they may be looking for. And honesty. Excuse me, guys. Honesty is key. Like, if you can be honest about what you're wanting from this woman or this man that you're pursuing, why all of a sudden these unspoken expectations that can't really be lived up to because you're not stating it? And then the whole games of just trying to prevent someone from knowing your actual expectations and just holding them accountable for something that's in your head, that's crazy too. Like, don't do that. Don't tell someone to come out with you and then you're trying to goad them or bait them into doing something sexually with you that they may not have even been thinking of doing. I just don't get this whole narrative. But if anybody else has experienced that, because that's just one of the things that I've noticed. There's others. Maybe I'll explain that a little bit more on another video. But I thought it was funny because it's like, once that's happened a few times, I'm like, okay, this person clearly has a mentality that is telling them to expect this from someone before they even express that that's what they're expecting. It's like an unwritten rule or something that everybody is supposed to be operating on when everyone is not a monolith. So everybody's not going to be operating on that. We kind of got to be more adult-like and just state what we're really wanting from people instead of just playing these head games. It's just crazy. But when I see it, I'm always like, okay, this is going to be let's not waste your time. Don't waste my time. Go find what you need, sweetie. Because I don't want to disappoint you and make you feel like, oh, I got to get belligerent or I got to start being a little more aggressive and violent possibly because she's not putting out like I want her to. You see what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. But anywho, just my thoughts. I thought it was crazy, but if anybody else has experienced this, let me know. Bye, guys. I'm going to go get my run in.